Today we're going to be talking about what it takes to be crazy tough in the ring. Why am I thinking about this subject? Well, we've seen recently that David Goggins has been training with Tony Ferguson, and there's a lot of controversy around this topic. I have my thoughts on it. I will share with you some of those, but really the gist of this episode is if you're out there and you're wanting to get a little bit stronger mentally, also physically, but mentally for this sport. If you feel like sometimes when you're sparring at your gym and your body's breaking down, or mentally you're in the middle of some rounds and you're going, oh, I can't keep going, and you have to take that break. Maybe you find it a little embarrassing, maybe it's humbling you and you don't want that. You want to be able to push forward and push through. And I will talk about some of my experience in this as well when I was younger. We're going to be touching on all of this today. I'm going to record this in one go. There'll be some errors. Please forgive me on that. I'm out of town right now, visiting my brother, and as always, I still want to deliver episodes for you guys. So first off, Tony Ferguson training for his upcoming fight against Paddy Pimpleton, I believe, and using David Goggins as one of his coaches. In whatever way you want to call that a coach. Hopefully he still has his striking coaches and his jiu-jitsu coach, but you have somebody you're training with who is pushing you to the absolute brink of what you're capable of. And not the brink where, you're in the middle of a session, you're like, oh, I'm in round 5 and this is hard. We're talking about like doing, I think it said something like a mile walking lunge and then going in and getting on a stair climber and just doing things where you see Tony Ferguson full on. Looks like he's vomiting. His legs are shaking. Does this make any sense? No. In my opinion, it doesn't. Why does it not make sense? Because we already know that Tony Ferguson is a maniac in the ring. And if anybody's not going to quit in a fight, I would probably go with Tony. Tony is not somebody who's going to give up easy. So for him to be pushing this type of training seems like it's unnecessary, in my opinion, because he's not somebody who's going to give up. If I heard, potentially, that somebody like Conor McGregor, and nothing against Conor, but Conor has had those times where you've seen him falter. You've seen him go, oh, I don't know if I have what it takes to push forward, and to a certain extent, he'll pull back. I don't want to say he quits, but he makes the smart decision in that moment for himself not to push forward and take more damage. Tony's not like that. Tony doesn't need David Goggins training. Somebody else, other fighters even at a high pro level, might need that push so they learn to go above and beyond what they think is capable. Do you guys need to do this type of training? Probably not. Because, pushing yourself to that extent is definitely going to train you for certain things. It's not the same punishment that you're going to take in a fight. It's very different. We're not going to go into a fight and go, okay, you know what? You have 1 hour of nonstop opponents coming in at you, and we got to just get you ready to fight and fight and fight some more. When your body can't go anymore, you have to dig deep. Our sport is more you're sprinting. What can we train for? What can we prepare you for? We can make sure that we understand that this sprint, stop and go, the cardio is there for it. We can get your body conditioned for low kicks so you don't crumble and collapse. And of course, the mental side, we can really, truly push you in the gym, maybe in a Shark Tank or something, where we go, you wanted to quit, but you didn't. Even though your mind was telling you, your body was telling you to stop, you were able to push forward. When I first started and I was younger in kickboxing, let's say, I'd already done karate, but karate is not the same. Most karate styles are not the same as the punishment that you're going to take in kickboxing training. So when I first started, I was not conditioned. I did not have the cardio. I would jump in for some sparring sessions, and sometimes I would come out and I would feel nauseous from that sparring session because maybe I got hit to the body, maybe I pushed really hard and my cardio was maxed out. And in those moments, okay, I have another round coming up right after, because usually we would swap from person to person, spar with this guy, then that guy, then that guy, and find somebody else, always switching. And sometimes you'd end up with 3 or 4 really good guys in a row, and you'd be like, oh, I want to take the next round off. But you would push forward and you would push through it. Those are the defining moments that I felt made a big difference in my ability to push forward in fights when you reach that adversity. And going out and doing a bunch of, like, let's say somebody's like, we're going to do an hour burpee challenge where you do as many burpees as you can in an hour. Is that going to help me in the way sparring would to prepare for a fight? No. The sparring, the grind through, taking some abuse physically, you're not going to recreate that the way that David Goggins is trying to tell Tony this is going to help you. And like I already said, when you have somebody already as mentally strong as Tony, and maybe not even as mentally strong, like I think Tony just doesn't have that switch maybe where he's like, you know what, I should fight different right now. I should be defensive, or I should talk to my corner and maybe, wave the towel and bow out. I just don't think he has that. So while some fighters might benefit in a certain way from that type of training, I don't think it's really necessary. And if you want something to push yourself hard, find small, crazy, fast, hard workouts where your body is going to give out, because that's what the fight is going to be like. That's what sparring sessions are going to be like. If you're wanting to improve, get on the treadmill. Slap that treadmill. I've done this before. It's dangerous. And I don't advise anybody just do it if you're not a good runner. But you put the treadmill at full incline, full speed. You get on and you sprint for 10 seconds. You get off for 10 seconds. You sprint for 10 seconds. You get off for 10 seconds. I can guarantee you by the time you get to sprint number 5 or 6, your legs are dying. You're in that panic mode where you're like, oh, I have to run, otherwise I'm going to get thrown off. Stuff like that is fast. It's mean. It recreates the panic in your body. And if I was going to tell somebody, what do you want to do to get ready for fights? It would be that kind of stuff, not the long, drawn out stuff. So is David Goggins' workouts effective? I'm sure they are in some way. Do I agree with them for combat sports training? No, I don't. Are we going to see a different Tony Ferguson? I have no idea. I have no idea. And I don't think anybody else can really do anything except speculate on what his performance will be like on fight night. And it always depends on how good your opponent is as well. There's so many factors. We can't predict anything like that. But I can tell you that there's smarter ways to train. And it's been proven time and time again by people like GSP who have said, when I was younger, I used to overtrain. I got smarter as I got younger or older, and the performance was still there. I can vouch for that because I've overtrained many times when I was younger and still did well. When I stopped overtraining and started being a little smarter, taking longer breaks, not going for I'm going to do a 10-kilometer run and then follow up with pads. You don't need to do crazy stuff like that. So it's an interesting topic. I just wanted to touch on it because I think many people out there are questioning whether they have to incorporate this type of brutal training into their own routine. And I don't think you have to. Of course, like I said before, there are positive elements, but I just really don't think it's something that you need to worry about. You can do what I said. You can go and find these crazy hard workouts that are super fast, that push you to the brink where you want to give up very early and you learn to commit through. You can go and do sparring sessions that are challenging and are hard, and that, in my opinion, those two are just going to make you tougher in the ring. And if that's what you're looking to accomplish, whether it be for competition or just for fun, going in on your sparring days, either way, you can check that off and go I'll be ready. And I can only tell you this because I've done it myself. And I don't like to think of myself as somebody who quits. Granted, I haven't been in any fights where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to grind through. I have the one fight with Robin, the one fight out of 45 where somebody technically scored a TKO on me because at the end of the 4th round, I went, you know what? I can't beat this dude if I don't knock him down. And I went, I don't have enough in me to knock him down now. And I might just get damaged. That was just like a smart decision to look forward in the career. There are moments in fights where you do have to grind through, and I've been able to do that, not based off doing a mile walking lunge. So, you guys going to be watching Tony and his next fight coming up very soon in December? I know I will be. I always like watching Tony. I love watching him up on the stage, giving his press conference, his interviews. He's an entertainer. I don't think he so much tries to be, he just is, because he's such a unique individual. And I love watching him. Just not even just fighting. No, excuse me, not even just fighting, just in general. I'm fascinated by what he has to say and what he does. So I will definitely be watching. I'm more interested in seeing him on the card than anybody else on that card. I know Colby Covington is fighting Leon Edwards. And I'm sure that'll be interesting, but still, Tony for me, 100%. So let's call it there, guys. Thank you for joining me. I will be back home today, actually. I'm traveling back home today when you guys are watching this. So I'll be back to making my regular videos and look forward to sharing some big news with you guys about my self-defense course coming out pretty soon. We're going to have some news coming up over the next couple of weeks, some giveaways for that to get things rolling, to get pumped, to get you guys excited about it. So that's coming on the channel very soon. As always, guys, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.